All right. Now I'm up on my laptop. Welcome for tuning in to Misbehaving is Fun. And this is my live dedicated to Kenya Moore so we can discuss more in detail about her. But before I get started, there were a few people I would like to thank that dropped in my chat on my last live, Love and Messiness, episode 7. That was Binge Thinker, uh, Coolin with the crew. That's the first time I've ever seen Coolin over here. But I watched a replay of my video and I saw you ladies were in the chat. And thank you for stopping by and showing your support. And I also want to thank Auntie Donna. She shared a video of mine from a couple of days ago called Stop Hate Speech. And anyway, without further ado, let me go ahead and discuss. So those of us that know Kenya Moore, we're from the generation. I was a young girl when Kenya Moore won Miss USA in 1993. You hardly saw dark-skinned women on television. And to see Kenya Moore, it made you proud, it made you happy. And so we've always known Kenya Moore. We've known her not only from Miss USA, but from being in movies and countless sitcom shows. She was in videos, she was on magazine. Kenya Moore was everywhere. And she got the nickname the Chocolate Barbie, Detroit Barbie. So when Kenya Moore arrived to Real Housewives of Atlanta, as a fan, I was very happy. Not only that, but she's very intelligent, witty, articulate, a wordsmith. She can read you down effortlessly with her words without reacting with violence. And Kenya is also a little quirky, As fans of hers, we can admit that she's a little quirky. Kenya reminds you of someone that may have grown up in the hood, but they've gone on in life and elevated, and now they're mingling and hanging with affluent people. So their dialect may change, their mannerisms may change, and so forth. And when Kenya came on to RHOA, it was a breath of fresh air, but it was something new we weren't used to. She had tricks for days, but you can see she was struggling to fit in. She wanted the women's approval. She wanted the women's friendship. And, in the beginning, you saw Nene and Phaedra, being friendly and cordial with her. But I think where the problem went wrong, or where the problem began rather, is when they went to Anguilla and they were playing. She was there as a single woman, and Apollo picked her up and threw her in the water, and Kenya was laughing. Now, to me, I would think that would be inappropriate. It wasn't anything malicious. However, I wouldn't have laughed or giggled or, flirted, playfully flirted with him. So, that always rubbed the married women on the cast the wrong way. Then, fast forward, they had a business deal, Phaedra and Kenya, with the donkey booty video. Phaedra felt as if she could manipulate Kenya and get more of the profit, and she didn't want to pay. So what Kenya went and did, she was petty. She went and made her own video. There solidified the beef between Phaedra and Kenya. Phaedra didn't like that Kenya was on the show. Nene didn't like that Kenya was on the show, because what happened, due to Kenya already quite naturally having a fan base, there were a lot of people supporting her. People were tuning in. The ratings were high. And you had these women that had started before Kenya, and they felt like that was their show. Yes, Nene was there from season one and she shot the pilot. Or she was involved with the pilot and selecting the OGs to be part of the show. But there was attention now being directed towards Kenya, so there's created animosity. For years, Kenya was picked on and bullied. Um, Malicious and hurtful things were said to Kenya due to people not liking Kenya, um, and not being able to relate to Kenya and already having their favorites on Real Housewives of Atlanta. It was easy for people to not feel sympathy for her when some of the harshest thing in the world were said to her. And had these things been said to any other woman, people would be in an uproar. To this day, people say hands down the best read ever towards Kenya came from Phaedra Parks. But in my eyes, that was the most malicious read. And that was the read where she told Kenya, she would need a sperm donor to have a baby, and the guy would ejaculate, and all she knows, and I'm paraphrasing now and I'm messing it up and not saying it exactly right, but basically a man would ejaculate, and for just so he could earn $10 to get a pizza, basically Kenya would have to go to a sperm bank in order to conceive a child. People laugh, they made fun for years, they do it now. But most women would have frowned upon that, and they would have held Phaedra's feet to the fire, but they did not. Another instance was when Marlo, knowing Kenya's history with her mother and how she longed to have a relationship with her mother, but her mother never wanted her, made the comment, if a person's own mother doesn't want them, they have to be bad. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but that did come from Marlo. That was hurtful, that was malicious, that was nasty, that was mean. And I would never forgive anyone for making those comments. You had some people, it's kind of split 50-50. Some people, thought Marlo was wrong, but then you had those, because they did not like Kenya, they thought nothing was wrong with it. Then we fast forward to her marriage and to see Kenya's husband on television. He was a complete asshole to her. He was horrible. He was rude. And the women celebrated. They chided. They made fun. Again, Kenya was by herself. The tides did not start to turn until Phaedra crossed Kandi. And Phaedra never made the comment. It was Portia asking a question about a dungeon. Kandi cried, and people were accusing her of rape and so forth. Phaedra was fired. Nothing happened with Portia. Portia was made to be a victim as well, and she got to stay on the show. No repercussion whatsoever. Then Nene, unfortunately, in addition to Greg being diagnosed with cancer, there's no telling what other stressors or what was going on in Nene's personal life that she was dealing with, and she brought it in front of the camera. And it played out. She changed from the nice, fun, lovable Nene to the hateful, evil, mean-spirited Nene. Then you had at one point, I can admit, that Nene did try to reach out to have a conversation with Kenya, but at that point, Kenya was done, and Kenya didn't allow Nene any grace to have that conversation with her, because in her mind, Nene was going to use it for a moment. Let's fast forward to today, 2023. So now here we're in the month of August, And there are multiple videos being made about this two-part interview that Kenya did with Carlos. Some people saying, well, she shouldn't have done the interview. She was saying a bunch of mean, evil things. Bravo will use it against her. This may be Kenya's last year. Kenya may know she's already being fired and she's just speaking up now because she knows she's not going to be asked back. Let me tell each of you this. Kenya has been preparing for this day to come that she would not be asked back to Bravo, to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kenya saw the writing on the wall years ago, and I'll tell you exactly when she realized that Bravo really wasn't feeling her, but she was still playing along because she wanted that job and she wanted that check. But she needed an exit strategy. When Nene was no longer on the show, Phaedra is no longer on the show, Bravo positioned Kandi to be the anchor. Kandi is nobody's superstar on a reality show. Kandi is not an anchor, as Nene Leakes would like to say, and Carlos King. At best, Kandi is a supporting cast member. The only thing interesting and exciting about Kandi Burruss is Mama Joyce, Aunt Bertha, Aunt Nora. That is the only thing interesting about Kandi Burruss. She has never been exciting. And she herself has not really shown any of her real life. So that's number one. That's the first thing Kenya saw, and she knew that the tides were turning. How is Kandi being positioned to be the anchor for this show? Now, you have Portia leaves the show. And I think it was by design and an understanding between Portia and Bravo Network as well as Andy. Because when that stuff hit the fan about Portia taking Simon from Fallon, there was too much backlash. Even people that were diehard supporters of Portia, they even were turned off and disgusted by her behavior. So I believe there was a concerted effort and a plan that, hey, let's take a couple of years off. People, let the situation, story die down. People will forgive you. They will love you, and you'll come right back. I believe that was the agreement. But in the interim, they aired Portia's spinoff show with her family. Oh my God. Portia Lives Matter. I think that's what it was called. I can't even remember the name. But even on that show, she looked horrible and she was fighting. You're fighting amongst family members. So that was a no-go. But still, Portia never spoke bad of the network. But again, Kenya's paying attention. Then they bring on Marlo. At the time, Kenya was supporting Marlo's return. All of the ladies were supporting Marlo's return. But when Marlo came, she acted a fool. She was on attack mode. And I believe it was a combination of production as well as Marlo still hanging with Nene that she went on the attack. Marlo went on the attack all season 14, said some hurtful things, did some hurtful things. So reunion time came around for season 14, and at the reunion, that is the time where the women, you get to call people to the carpet for their behavior, what they've said, what they've done. But at their reunion, it was a snooze fest. There was nothing said. to Marlo. Kenya sat there. There were no reads. There was nothing. It was as if higher ups had told Kenya to keep her mouth shut, not to say anything. And all we heard was sob stories and everything about Marlo to rebuild her image. And if some of you can recall, after season 14 reunion concluded, Kenya did do a couple of, press runs. She did a few interviews where she spoke about that, about how she felt as if, bravo, they were protecting Marlo and her image and so forth. So Kenya was already aware that, girl, you on your way out. Your days are numbered. They had gotten rid of Nene. Portia went and stepped away to take a little break for a couple of years to refurbish her image. And they're showing you dust. So what solidified and proved to Kenya that they were definitely phasing her on out and getting rid of her is this season 15. We didn't get to see anything at all. It would have been lovely to see Kenya build her salon out. That would have been lovely. We could have gotten behind Marlo and her foster care awards for people that were successful, that were former children in foster care, but now they're successful in their own right. That could have been part of Marlo's storyline from last season when she came on to explain, and show what she does. Last year was her, what was that? Oh God, I don't want to disrespect the ladies' clothing store, not eBay. I know Kenya is so shady, she nicknamed it eBay, but if somebody knows, just drop it in the comments because I forgot. We forgot all about Marlo's little fashion house that she was promoting season 14. Then she got rid of her nephews in season 14. She needed a break for 30 days. When everyday mothers that are raising kids alone that don't have a fourth of the financial resources that Marlo has, they don't have that luxury of giving away their kids. They deal with it. So it's like this season, everything is a muck. But Kenya knows this is her last season. And I'm pretty sure they may invite Kenya Moore back for season 16, but it would be at a reduction in pay. And people keep saying they're getting rid of the high earners over on RHOA because they're not making any money. But if that's so, you can't tell me you're bringing Portia Williams back and she's taking a pay cut. That's not so. So Kenya knows her days are numbered, and I don't believe she's coming back at all. And if you ask me truthfully, she should have left years ago. It's not that I dislike Kenya, because I am a member of Team Twirl, but I've always hated how she was never supported. And the way she's venting now, I mean, Kenya has gotten real spicy at the mouth in this interview with Carlos. So I guess she's like, she don't give a fuck either. They don't care, so she don't care either. So she is letting stuff out the bag and she's telling it. So for those of us that love and support Kenya, we can tell from this interview that she has no plans on going back. She's not. She's already planned ahead. And somebody, and ain't no telling, it may be Carlos, but then again, if these people are powerful enough, they can even block some of Carlos' shows. But Kenya's not coming back. I wish her all the best. She'll forever be our Chocolate Barbie. No matter if you love her or hate her, Kenya is part of history as the second black woman to become Miss USA. The problem is Kenya did not fit the mold. They do not like promoting positive images of black women. They want the black women that are out here celebrating debauchery, the black women that want to fight, the black women that want to curse, the black women out here scamming or with a man that's scamming or drug dealing or just ignorant. At some point, all of the ladies, and it doesn't matter where you come from because we all come from different walks of life, but at some point we need to support one another and uplift one another. And if that's not happening, you need to be comfortable in walking away. And so, Kenya Moore, I say to you, sister, just walk away. You have been blessed. You have a child that you've always wanted. You have a home that you paid for and had built, renovated, and you own it outright. And you have your hair care company, and now you have your hair salon. Just live within your means and you'll be okay, and you'll be all right. The only way Real Housewives of Atlanta will be successful is if they hire a new production team and they have people that truly are invested in the success of the show. But I've said this before in previous videos, and I've said it even before this year, that Bravo is following the formula that other networks have done. And what that formula is to build up your network by utilizing black talent. Look at UPN, look at CW. Those are just a few of the networks that use black shows to build up their network. And once their network became successful enough and they were able to have that crossover appeal and gain a white audience, they then canceled black shows. Remember back in the days, we used to have Girlfriends, we used to have Martin, we used to have All of Us. We had so many shows that were popping, that were famous, that were successful. But in closing, Kenya Moore, we are proud of you. The fans appreciate you. We know what you brought to Real Housewives of Atlanta. And but let this be your last season. Let this be your last season. Go ahead and walk away. But I do want to say this. You should have walked away when they fired you for marrying Mark off camera. And I don't blame you. I would have gotten married off camera too. Unless they were willing to give you a spinoff show. And if they weren't willing to give you a spinoff show for it, then why do it? But anyway, good luck, good night, and just know there are millions of people that love you, support you, want the best for you, and we're not mad at you. Hold on. Let me rewind a little bit and just hit you with this, Kenya. Girl, you better stop faking the funk. Portia did you dirty too and was talking greasy and talking slick. Now, Portia was used as an attack dog, but Portia is a grown woman and she has her own mind. And when she gets around whoever she wants to get around to fit in, she'll dog you again. But you have no friends over there. You just had co-workers and acquaintances. But stay strong, Queen. We got you.